All right, let's talk about something that's a real head scratcher. How does an AI take on a massive, long-term project and not just completely fall apart? Well, today we're going to unpack a super powerful AI pattern called planning. Think of it as the secret sauce that turns an AI from just a simple tool into a full-blown master strategist.
I mean, really think about that for a second. We're not talking about simple tasks here. Imagine telling an AI to launch a brand new software product from start to finish. How does it manage all those moving parts without getting lost or confused along the way? It's a huge challenge, right? And the answer is actually pretty elegant. It's all in this pattern we're breaking down today.
So, when an AI has to tackle these big, multi-step goals, just having a simple to-do list isn't going to cut it. I mean, that's fine for small stuff, but for the really ambitious projects, nope. It needs something way more sophisticated. It needs a strategic blueprint, a master plan. It has to start thinking like a true strategist. And that blueprint, that master plan, is exactly what we call the planning pattern. So, what is it really? At its core, it's an approach where the AI takes a giant, intimidating goal, and first, it breaks it down into smaller, more manageable milestones. Then, it creates a super detailed, step-by-step plan and just follows it in order. The key here is that it's not just reacting to things as they come, it's all about deliberate, strategic execution. Okay, so what does this blueprint that the AI strategist uses actually look like? How does it all come together? Let's dive in and break down the step-by-step process it uses to build and then execute that master plan. Now, this is where things get really cool, because this process looks a lot like what a human project manager would do. First, the AI takes that main goal and chops it up into smaller, achievable milestones. Next, it creates what's called a dependency graph, which is really just a fancy way of saying it maps out which tasks have to be finished before others can even begin. You can't build the roof before the walls are up, right? Same idea. Then, it checks that map against real-world constraints, things like budget and deadlines. Only after all that does it generate the final step-by-step plan, assign specific AI agents or tools to each task, and then it starts executing, one step at a time, following the plan. All right, this next part is where we get the real aha moment. Because you might be sitting there thinking, hey, this sounds an awful lot like another AI pattern I've heard of, prompt chaining. And you know what? You're not wrong. They do seem similar on the surface. But there is a huge, crucial difference between just following a simple sequence and having a real strategy. In this slide lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you've got prompt chaining. Think of it like a relay race. The output of step 1 is just handed off directly to step 2. It's linear, it's reactive. But then look at planning. The AI finishes step 1, and instead of just handing something off, it goes back and consults the master plan, that strategic map, to figure out what step 2 should be. You see the difference? The steps are connected by the overall strategy, not just by what happened immediately before. This makes the whole thing way more intelligent and flexible. And this quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. The key insight is that the AI isn't just passing a baton from one step to the next. It's more like a conductor leading an orchestra, making sure every single part is played at the right time according to the sheet music, which is that strategic plan. That is the fundamental shift in thinking here. Okay, so we've covered the what and the how, which is great. But where does this actually show up in the real world? Where does this strategic approach really shine? Let's take a look at some of those real-world blueprints in action. You'll find the planning pattern pretty much anywhere you have a complex, goal-oriented process. Think about a business workflow where an AI plans out the entire customer journey, from a new sales lead all the way to becoming a happy, supported customer. Or in project management, imagine an AI overseeing a massive construction project, juggling all those crazy dependencies. It's also the backbone for multi-stage software development and even for really in-depth research projects that have multiple, distinct phases of analysis.
Now, as powerful as all this sounds, it's not a silver bullet, nothing ever is, right? Creating a master plan like this comes with its own set of strategic trade-offs. There are some absolutely incredible upsides, but there are also some pretty significant challenges you have to think about.
Okay, so the biggest pro, as we've already touched on, is that ability to think strategically from the top down. This is what lets the AI tackle truly massive, complex goals. And because it's always going back to that master plan, it's actually surprisingly adaptable. If something unexpected happens, it can adjust the plan and figure out a new route without the whole project is grinding to a halt. But on the flip side, building one of these systems is not easy. There's a ton of complexity right at the beginning, just in designing that initial plan. And maybe the biggest headache of all is coordinating all the different AI agents. You have to give each one the perfect instructions, the right tools, and you have to have backup plans, what we call fallbacks, in case one of them fails. It's a major, major architectural challenge. So here's the bottom line. The planning pattern is what elevates an AI from being a simple task doer to a genuine strategist. It's what unlocks the ability to go after these complex, long-term goals. But that power doesn't come for free. It requires a ton of foresight and really careful design in its architecture. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on, doesn't it? As these AI strategists get more and more sophisticated, more and more reliable, what kind of complex goals are we going to trust them with next? What currently unimaginable projects in science and society will we be willing to hand over for them to execute? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.